Hello.
Can you hear us?
Good morning. David here.
Good morning. Good morning. Meeting is called to order. Happy belated Valentine's Day. Everybody got a good Valentine's gift?
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Let me put my glasses on. I can't see without. Meeting is called to order. Notice of meeting statement. We'll have Commissioner Michelle Woodhead.
Statement of announcement. A meeting notice announcing the date, time, and place of the February 15th, 2024 Commission meeting was distributed February 13th, 2024 to the appropriate media and other groups or individuals who have requested notification. The announcement and agenda were posted at the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Central Administrative Office and on the website. The Americans with Disabilities Act, the public has been notified that accommodations such as interpreters, mobility assistance, or other assistance will be provided to individuals with disabilities and special needs if requested in advance.
Again, welcome everyone. Adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Ayes have it. So ordered. Invocation. Our Father in heaven, we come now to taking on the task and the duties and responsibilities that you have put upon us to take care of those with disabilities and special needs. We ask now for your continued guidance, your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding be departed upon us, that they will always be cared for in the manner in which you desired. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Okay, number 6, approval of commission meeting minutes from November 16, 2023. Questions? If not, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. So ordered. Commission update. I'll start with Commissioner Malphus.
All right. I had two things to update us on. I gotta get it out there, sorry. There it is. One is that I wanted to bring up that based on what's going on with restructuring, I hope that we're able to be here for many months to come, but I don't know. And so I wanted to say that that I wanted to thank one more time the entire commission whenever it was all together in June, and for the going fee for service that we did in April of 22, which was a major feat that we were able to accomplish that other commissions before the Master Appointed Commission was unable to do since 2012, whenever they started talking about it. And the other thing was that I am particularly proud and particularly happy to for the improvements that we made to the regional centers and the millions of dollars that have been spent to make them better, and the $12.6 million in the CPIP for 24 that is going to be to help them and other capital improvement projects. So that is and all that was approved by the commission. So I'm very thankful for that. And the next thing is, very quickly, is a book that I wanted to bring up to everybody's attention that I read recently that was very good. It's an excellent book. It's called Chasing the Intact Mind, and it was written by a lady that has it's written by a lady that has an autistic child, but it really could could be applied to all disabilities. And what she talks about in there that's so important, in particular, well, both sections of the book, is that parents and people that know the person with disabilities is always going to be the person that's best to advocate for them. And that people like healthcare professionals and other advocates try to do the right thing, but they really don't understand as well as parents or people that know the person do. And it's just very important how she puts this, and very important. I would recommend the book very highly to whoever would like to read it. And if you don't get, and her name is Amy Luntz that wrote it. And if you'd like to get the information any more, I mean, the name and the title, again, from me, just email me and I'm happy to send you the name and the title. And if you send me an email and say you can't afford the book, I'll be happy to send it to you for free if you'll give me your address. So, but anyway, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas?
No, I have nothing new. I think some legislative items are going to be covered a little later. Thank you.
Commissioner Cohart, have any comments? Oh, you good? You made sure somebody else was able to see today. That's a good thing.
No, I wish I could say I did. I'm going to.
Okay. Commissioner Woodhead?
Yeah. So in the world of adaptive sports, which obviously is near and dear to my heart, the Palmetto Games is, it's been being sponsored by the Clemson Adaptive Sports and Recreations Program. The Palmetto Games are April 26th through the 27th at Clemson University. They have archery, air rifles, swimming, and track events and field events. So those with physical disabilities, I encourage you guys to sign up. Registration is open until, I think, the end of March. So it's a great thing, sponsored by Clemson Adaptive Sports, but obviously available for anyone in South Carolina. The next thing that they're also sponsoring, which I think is awesome, they're also sponsoring for the second year in a row, a wheelchair basketball camp, and that is in June. So you can find this information on their website, the Adaptive Sports website from Clemson. So I think that's a great thing. And yeah, so I've been busy in the last two months, watching some great adaptive sports events. We've been to Park City with adaptive skiing. Got to go to their National Ability Center and participate there, as well as in Las Vegas. Went to a wheelchair rugby tournament. Got to see multiple teams from throughout the United States, which was really great to get on the other side of the coast. And upcoming next weekend, we'll be in Jacksonville on another rugby tournament with my daughter. So just been busy doing adaptive sports stuff.
Your daughter had surgery yesterday. How's she doing?
She did. She's well. She's good. So thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public input. Do we have any? No. Public input. Let's go to number 9, programs and services.
Hi there, I'm Paget Mazingo, and I'm going to let this one introduce herself.
Hi.
Hello.
She's got a special treat for each of you,
Treat.
or 2 treats.
Thank you.
Give her a hand.
And Lila, do you want to tell them more about yourself?
Sure. I'm Darla Mazingo.
Thank you.
And I'm 12 years old. And I live in Tippins, South Carolina.
And Lila is also the Chief Inspiration Officer of Limitless Purpose, which is a statewide nonprofit that our family founded based on our journey with Lila. We had a pre-birth diagnosis, so we knew what to expect, and we're connected to.
Ms. Lila.
Stop and have a picture.
Oh, they want a picture.
There you go.
Very nice.
So our pre-birth diagnosis allowed us to be connected to services that would benefit her health-wise. And so we had the best, even though my doctor honestly told me to terminate my pregnancy at 24 and a half weeks when we found out that her heart defect was indicative of Down syndrome. She told me, and I quote, she'll never communicate, most likely won't be mobile, she'll have no quality of life. And I think that you'll see that she has the highest quality of life. And I'm very thankful that I had the support of those around us to continue our pregnancy and to have this beautiful ray of sunshine as a part of our lives. What we want to talk to you about, this flyer that's up on the screen today, first is our event that we have coming up in March. It's March 16th. Our goal with Limitless Purpose is to provide resources for families like ours so that they understand what's possible, and if resources and love and support are available, and quality health care, which y'all have been instrumental in helping provide, anything is possible. And so we only heard the limits of what our daughter would not be able to do. From the last 3 months of our pregnancy on, we only heard about her limits, and instead we chose to see her as being Limitless Lila. And that continued until we hit the opportunity where we needed inclusive programming and services to support our limitless ideal for our daughter. And we live in one of the best school districts in the state. Our son graduated top of his class from a magnet high school program. He's on scholarship at Clemson Honors. At 5, when we questioned her placement in a self-contained classroom, we were told that the district had a jobs program for these kids. And so now she's homeschooled, and we have chosen a different route for her. I'm going to give you a quick summary of that. We've chosen to think beyond the limits for what our daughter, both of our children, can do. And so Lila is homeschooled now. She's a 12-year-old who loves being included, loves music, loves art, loves animals. Thankfully, we have some animals at our house, horses and chickens. So she has a pretty vibrant daily experience, and we're able to do things like this because of that. But that's only because we couldn't find what we thought was acceptable for her, even though it should be there by the federal laws that exist. She has a successful small business thanks to y'all's holiday market. She was here selling Lila's sweet treats. I misspoke when I said she had a sweet treat for you today, a surprise for you today, because she should have something sweet. Instead, she had other tangible items instead of her goodies, but they were very popular at the market, and she sold a lot here. She's a pet sitter extraordinaire. She loves animals, music, making friends, being included. She's going to be at 3 camps this summer. Only one of those is Cramp Heart to Heart, is for children who have had heart surgery or have special needs. The other 2 camp opportunities will be with other typically developing children. And that's something that Limitless Purpose is working towards, because a lot of those opportunities are not there. And again, as I said, she's the Chief Inspiration Officer for Limitless Purpose. A little bit about myself. I'm sure you've read it in the packet. I'm not going to go through all this, but the thing that is the most important to recognize is that we are firm believers that all children like ours can be limitless. We want her to grow up to be a productive part of our community in Chapin. We want her to be employed. We want her to give back, pay taxes, do all of those things that I will have, that I know that my son will be doing too. And ultimately, our hope is that he will only be supervising her decisions and not making them for her. That's why we've created a business for her, Lila's Sweet Treats. It's a great opportunity. There's some stats about what we do with that. It's a great opportunity for her to learn life skills, math skills, social skills that are going to make her employable one day, whether she chooses to have a bakery or do something entirely different, whatever she chooses that she wants to do. And we've even shipped those products to various states, and her roasted pecans have made it all the way to Germany. So there are some pictures that y'all can enjoy of her doing things. Because we homeschool her, she's a big part of Disability Advocacy Day. She pulled a wagon around to the state on the State House grounds last year, the week before, and gave out cookies to help legislators know the possibilities of the services and decisions they make for children who might look or learn it a little differently. There's someone you might recognize around the table right there in the middle, as he was a part of Disability Advocacy Day as well.
Yeah.
And then limitless purpose is what I really want to talk to you about today. I left my job with Family Connection on a leap of faith because I needed to be able to speak openly about our experiences with our daughter. And educational opportunities were just not what we needed for her from the very beginning. This child did not need to be in a self-contained classroom. She didn't need to be isolated or underestimated. And I know I'm not talking to the Department of Education, but I am talking to the organization that provides the services and the training opportunities that can help make children like Lila employable and a hearty part of the community, knowing that not every child you serve will be, but those that could be, should be. And then your resources will be able to be provided to the families who have children with more medically complex issues. Not that she's not medically complex. We've got plenty of struggles. She's got plenty of specialists she sees, but that shouldn't limit what her possibilities are. And so Limitless Purpose was founded just before COVID. The things that I'm most proud about with the organization is that we have done something that this organization has done in the past. We provide Limitless Learner Summer Incentive Awards last year to 115 individuals, 18 and under, so their parents could have them participate in a summer camp. And we have some children with autism that needed reading tutors over the summer or math tutors so they could stay in general ed classrooms. Anything that the parent feels is a growth and recreational developmental opportunity for the child. All of that is funded through private grassroots donations. And so in the time that we've been operating as a nonprofit, and remember we started right as COVID hit, so we were waylaid a bit. But that's almost 200 children to the tune of $55,000. So people out there across the state, number one, need the opportunities and the connections with other families that are walking the journeys that they're walking, but also the opportunities for inclusion and acceptance for their kids. They want more. They want their children to be a contributing, valuable part of their community. Anyone that can, that's what they want, the parents we talk to. And so we're really working to provide hope and reassurance and bringing families together. These are some pictures of some of our Limitless learners from before. I'd hate to tell you how hard it is. If you have a child with Down syndrome, a young child with Down syndrome, and you try to find swimming lessons for them, you'll be appalled at how many times they're turned away when they realize, when the instructor or the organization realizes that the child has Down syndrome. Right now, our goal is to help families connect to what's out there. Ultimately, our hope is that we will be able to help organizations understand that they can make their programming inclusive. And that's something that we could work with this organization to do. It just shows that there's still so much more that we can do to help our children. We've had events for families where they connect to services that are available to them in the community. And you see the smiles on those kids' faces. They want to be a part of the community, and access to police officers and firemen and people that they need to have strong relationships with. Hopefully they'll never need them, but if they do, we're providing an avenue for them to know that there are people that can help them. So our message today is first to thank you for the hard work and the services that you do provide to our families, and just to remind you that we want our children. I mean, as a mom, to think that I would have chosen not to have this little girl based on a recommendation of one person in a 30-minute conversation at a point where, at that point, she said, we have to make this decision now because you can only do this tomorrow because we were already at 24 and a half weeks then. What would we have missed? And so the opportunity for us to turn that personal journey into a message to help other families understand and to help shape the services that are available so that our children can grow up to be independent as possible, make choices for their futures, and to be a part of the communities that they live in and give back to the communities that they live in. So that's what we're working on. We would always here to help be a part of anything that the commission needs or is working on, but we just urge you to remember that, we're all limitless. We all, despite a diagnosis, we all are individuals who look and learn in different ways. We enjoy different things. We find meaningful passion and just enjoyment from different things. So we need to look at the programs that we provide as much as possible to benefit the individual in a way that suits them. And I know that's a really hard thing to do when you're talking about thousands and thousands of people. But the other thing is, remember, one of the crises facing our state is the number of adults with disabilities who are being cared for by an elderly parent. Where are those folks going to go when their parents pass? We have to make sure, we have to do everything possible to make sure that that's going to be when my husband and I are no longer here, that Lila has a life that she enjoys and that she's cared for properly. And we have to work to try to figure out how that's going to happen for every individual in our state who happens to look or learn a little differently. And I do want to highlight and recognize we are blessed. Anna and I were good friends growing up. And when I had that pre-birth diagnosis, she reached out to me immediately. So, as a family who had connections to people who understood and could help us walk the path of the services that were available, to still have encountered what we encountered. And she's 12, and doctors are still telling young mothers who have a diagnosis of Down syndrome pre-birth that they should terminate. We're doing something wrong. So I would just thank each of you for what you do. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to share our beautiful daughter and the message of hope for what we want for her in the future. And I'll entertain any questions if I left any room for any, or Lila can answer some questions too if you have any for her.
No.
You mentioned one word, inclusive. You mentioned that, inclusive, very powerful word. Commissioners, any comments, thoughts?
Well, I love her title of Chief Inspirational Officer, so I thought that was a great twist, and I can see that is a perfect title for her. Also, as a mom with the same goals, with your children growing up and you want them to be viable in our society, I think it's awesome, and I just had all the good feels with everything you said. And I also love Anne, because she also she's also the one who introduced me to this after my daughter's accident. So yeah, thank you, Anne, and thank you for that.
And I will say, you pick up on the word inclusion, and what I should really talk about is acceptance. It's hard if not everyone treats Lila as openly as she treats everyone else in the community, but 9 times out of 10, she'll win you over. So inclusion is a big part of what we're working towards, but ultimately my dream and the mission of our organization is actually helping all children grow, learn, and thrive. While our services right now benefit those with intellectual or physical disabilities, my goal and my dream would be that 15 years from now, if I'm no longer here, this organization still exists, but it isn't having the things that make the news now or the opportunities for inclusion that happen because people make the choice to do that. That's just happening inherently. It's a part of what happens, but we know that there will still be children who are disadvantaged and who need support from someone other than their parents or their immediate family members. And that's my dream for Limitless Purpose. That's why our mission addresses all children, even though our programs and services right now benefit children with cognitive or physical disabilities. So inclusion is a wonderful, popular word right now, but my dream is that we work more towards acceptance instead of just inclusion.
Inclusion and acceptance. make that known in the record. And thank you for doing such a wonderful job. Give Ann a hand. Hey, Director.
Well, I just want to say I'm a connoisseur of treats, and I had the pleasure in the holiday market to get some of Lila's treats, and they're delicious.
Thank you.
Lila owes me a wristband. I need my wristband. I look around, all of the other commissioners have their wristband.
Here, take him one.
I don't think he's got one.
He says he doesn't have one. You missed him. He says he missed one.
That's okay, she's good. Take this picture. Here we go. Please. Thank you.
Oh.
All right, give her a hand.
And the photographer gets a hug too.
Commissioner Thomas, any thoughts, comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Finance and Audit Committee?
Okay, we had our Finance and Audit Committee meeting earlier this week, and we have three things that we want to go over, and Mrs. Boyer will be presenting the three requests that were approved in our finance meeting to be have the attention of the full commission.
Good morning. So, like Commissioner Wood had said, we have three items to bring for you today for approval or for review. The first item is the renewal of an existing contract at Coastal PD Salibi Centers, their lending contract. I'm bringing this to the commission due to the anticipated increase in this contract. The current spending plan accounted for approximately $935,000 for this service. However, after speaking with a couple of vendors, we see that the proposed increase is going to be over our executive limitations. So these three regional centers are estimated to increase the current contract by $300,000 annually. So I'm asking for approval for this increase, as well as the approval of the new 5-year contract once it's solicited and awarded by MMO. So it's got to go down to state procurement for them to actually solicit and award. So we just know this is going to be an anticipated increase based on what the market has done. And would you like me to read all three of these and then you guys vote at the end? Is that how y'all want to do it? Or you want to do it one at a time?
Let's do these ones individually.
Okay, yeah.
For
And so if you guys have any questions, just let me know on that one. So
the first one where you just did the lending
the
contract.
lending contract, yes.
Are they saying that inflation is why it would go up to that level? Is that an excuse they use?
Yeah, that's what we're anticipating these services. What other agencies have awarded recently for their lending contracts kind of coincides with what we're asking for here. So things have just gone up that much, unfortunately. So we don't want to not come to you and ask you for enough, then we'll have to come back, So we wanted to make sure we ask for enough to be able to award it once.
So that's like an estimate because they haven't actually been awarded yet.
No, this has to go to MMO and they have to solicit it. And once they solicit that whole process, then we will award it. But if it's more than what you guys approve here, we would come back to you.
So this did come in with a vote, so I guess do we have any other questions on this one? Any commissioners?
Commissioner Thomas, you okay?
Yes, I'm all right.
So, yes, can we get a motion to approve the increase?
I'm so moved if you need a motion from me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so.
All right, so the second item is for an increase to the regional center staff shift differentials. As of December 2023, there were about 536 vacant DSP positions. So the regional centers have been forced to utilize contract staffing companies to stay in compliance with our federal CFRs, those staffing ratios that are outlined in law. Recent legislative support has led to the stabilization of the nursing positions that we have in the regional centers, but we're asking the commission to approve a shift differential plan that we hope will lead to stabilization within our direct support professional positions. So the second and third shift for weekdays, as well as the weekend shifts, as you can imagine, are the most difficult to staff. The agency is currently paying a shift differential of 50 cents an hour, which does not line up with what other agencies are currently doing. So we are proposing to change that shift differential to $2 to $3.50 an hour, depending on that shift that's being worked. And this should bring DDSN in line with what other state agencies are paying for their shift differentials. So the estimated financial impact for this initiative is projected to cost $1 million, and it'll affect more than 300 employees currently working these shifts. Also wanted to note that if we pass this, we could produce a savings for the agency because we're relying on those contract staff to fill the gaps in the night shift and the weekend shifts. And we're currently paying them more than what this shift differential would be. So that is hopefully an impact for us passing this. We would actually see the savings on that contract side.
I think it's important to know that this puts us in line with other state agencies.
Yes. Yeah. And hopefully it gets us out of that 30 to 45% markup that the staffing companies charge us.
Right, so if we can hire less contract employees, and then hopefully this will entice
That's the
new
goal.
hires,
That's the goal.
and then also keep retention to the ones that we have that have the experience.
How long do you anticipate it would take for them to get rid of the staffing agencies and be able to do it?
It just depends on if we can get, those employees to come work for us. I mean, that's just the thing. I don't know how, I don't have a way of estimating how long it would take to reduce the staffing numbers. I know for the nursing side, since we were able to fully staff in the regional centers due to what the legislature did in the last budget, that's taken it's eased the pressure off the RNs and LPNs, and we're seeing, those position classes stabilize. So this is kind of modeling after that. So hopefully we are able to ease the pressure there as well with the DSPs.
This is only a one-time request, right? Because
Well,
next year.
Yeah, so what happens is these costs come in through our regional center, they get charged to the regional centers, and so it's kind of baked into the rate that we bill Medicaid. So if we increase the cost $1 million, those will be in our cost reports, and our rate that they pay us will be kind of reflected on it. So it has a budgetary impact at first. We would have to use our non-reoccurring to fund it until it gets baked into the rate, which is kind of a 1 to 2 year process. So once they would increase that rate based on our cost reports that we turn in, then it kind of self-stabilizes.
I certainly think that we should be paying our employees
Yes,
what they deserve and what other agencies are paying.
yes.
What would be an example of 2 other agencies that are paying? You say
Like corrections, they have a different tier class for, the facility. If it's a, more intensive facility, then they would pay higher, and they also pay higher based on the shifts that they work. So that is example one. Then there's also mental health. I'm not as familiar with mental health, as you don't see their billboards when you drive, down the interstate. But they have shifts like that as well because they operate the hospitals, the inpatient hospitals, as well as the nursing homes right now. So.
Any other questions? This also came in with a vote, so I would just need a motion to approve the regional center staff shift differential budget.
So moved.
second, Barry Melvers.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
And the third item is a request to utilize some of our non-reoccurring funds to upgrade the Coastal Regional Center's retherm equipment. So Coastal Center, their retherm is currently down to 5 of 9 in their dorms, and we're starting to experience, operational disruption to maintain that safe dining for consumers. The agency has tried its hardest to be fiscally responsible by moving spare parts from other regional centers to Coastal to try to get some of those retherms up and keep them running. So we did that in May 2022 with the hope that we'd be able to get 3 years out of those retherms. It was because that's what we had estimated, that we would get 3 years. But unfortunately, the agency needs to move forward and complete the purchase of new equipment, because those parts aren't lasting as long as we thought they would. The new equipment is gonna require some electrical panel modifications in some of the dorms at Coastal. So we hired an electrical engineer to assess the modifications that were gonna be required. And we identified that there are 12 existing buildings that require those modifications. So we're estimating the overall project's gonna be $1.1 million. We would use non-reoccurring cash for this, and those electrical modifications are gonna be about $175,000. So if there's any other questions, but this is kind of a pretty important thing. We have to get these retherms up. The DHEC is pretty strict, and they come out with those temperature guns and they start, measuring how hot those meals are, and they're supposed to be a certain temperature. And this is very, very important to keep those meals at the right temperature to be able to serve.
So retherm is a meal temperature thing?
Yes, it's for their meals. It's like a storage or holding area for the meals, and they take it out and they put the trays on like these carts and they roll them around to the different dorms. But the dorms, there are 9 dorms that have these retherms in it, and only 5 are working. So it's causing, housekeeping to be able, or not, the kitchen staff to have to work a little bit over, because they're having to stagger the meals preps and when they get delivered and where they go. So it's causing some operational difficulties as well.
This replaces all the new equipment?
Yes, it replaces it. We're going to try to be brand specific and kind of match what the other regional centers are using. So we're able to share those parts across different regional centers if we needed to.
On that, it's great. It costs about $80,000 for one of these things?
If you divide those by 9, yes, I think that's about correct. Yeah. And it's, if you think about it, it's a large, stainless steel oven basically from ceiling to, so it's a large piece of equipment.
This only replaces the ones that are broken. This don't replace them all, does it?
I think this replaces all the ones that go to, correct? Because, it's campus wide, so all the dorms that have them will be replaced.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I was hoping that was right. Okay.
Yes. That's all I have for that one.
Any other questions?
Okay, I move that we approve, unless you want to bring it. Technically, it comes as a motion and second out of committee, but if you want me to make a motion, I approve that we buy the equipment for the regional centers that they need to replace.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Thank you, Quincy.
We're down to number 11, old business.
Oh, we have
Oh,
one more.
one more?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So we have one more. We're going to go over the commission policy 800-07 CP, and Courtney can go over the changes that we voted on in the finance meeting.
Good morning. So our committee procedures are traditionally reviewed and updated annually when a new committee chair is appointed. So Commissioner Woodhead, Quincy, and I reviewed the procedures. We took them to the Finance and Audit Committee earlier this week, and your packet contains proposed revisions to Attachment A of 800-07 CP, which are our Finance and Audit Committee procedures. So the first proposed revision is an effort to streamline the review process for policies, directives, and standards. So the policy committee procedures were revised in November to eliminate referral to other DSN committees. So the policy committee would review the policies, directives, or standards and make a recommendation to the commission, or they would delegate directives and standards to staff for recommendation to the commission. So the proposed changes to your Finance and Audit Committee procedures are just made to ensure that these procedures are in alignment with 800-07 CP and Attachment D, which are the Policy Committee procedures. So we also proposed a minor edit on page 1 of tab 5. And that's to clarify the committee's authority to authorize investigations. And we also discussed meeting frequency. So we reviewed guidance from the Institute of Internal Auditors, and we researched meeting frequency for finance and audit committees of other state agencies that are governed by boards or commissions. So we have proposed quarterly meetings of the Finance and Audit Committee, and those meetings would occur in the month following the end of a calendar quarter. So we're looking at April, July, October, and January. And consistent with the DDSN Finance and Audit Committee charter, the committee does retain the authority to convene additional meetings as circumstances require. So we did receive approval in the Finance and Audit Committee, so this is good for commission approval now.
Give me the months again that they would bring them.
It would be April, July, October, and January, and we could always call additional meetings if needed.
Make a motion or how?
Yeah, you can do it.
Make a motion to accept the changes.
Motion on the floor, I need a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Order. Now we're on to old business, am I correct? Tab 6, quarterly incident report. Ms. Dalton and Ms. Hick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to share with you the community-based providers' quarterly incident management data. I'm sorry, I do not know which tab that is in your book. It is the chart with the blue sections in the report for incident management, and there are two larger graphs on your page.
It's 6.
It's tab 6. Thank you. So I am very pleased to report that the number of allegations within community-based settings has actually started to level off during this past quarter. We had a higher number of reports for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 23 and the first quarter of 24, but we're starting to see those numbers level off after a 25% increase in those prior months. The fourth quarter gave us a total of 381 reports or allegations that were reported for this fiscal year. And the annualized number is still a little higher than where we have been for the prior 5-year period. But again, that first quarter was unusually high. It's worth noting that approximately 1/2 of all reports that are vetted by SLED are for standard of care or non-criminal violations rather than actual criminal allegations of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. In addition, SLED receives about 40% of their total call volume and those reports do not result in vetting to an outside investigative entity. For all allegations, regardless of how they are vetted, DDSN requires an administrative review. So the numbers that you see in the blue text and the charts are for the actual reports that DDSN requires the provider to complete an administrative review. And the purpose of that administrative review is to look for policy and procedural violations, employee conduct that may not rise to any official substantiated finding. And also, most importantly, the administrative review is intended to identify measures that the provider can take to either prevent reoccurrence and hopefully to mitigate the risk to any participants or other people who are supported by the agency. So there have been 3 staff arrests related to abuse, neglect, and exploitation in fiscal year 24. Our administrative findings are low at this time, and that's pretty typical for this time of year. There's generally a bit of a lag time between the receipt of those closure reports from the Ombudsman's office or from DSS. On average, about 30% of the reports that are vetted result in an administrative finding. So that would be a standard of care violation. When you look at the critical incident information, we've had a total of 635 critical incidents reported in community-based settings for the first half of 24. The number is nearly equal to the fiscal year 23 numbers, so we like to see that things are holding steady. We're not having any big spikes. We have an annualized projection of 1,270 critical incidents. We have had a decrease in the number of law enforcement calls and the number of reports of suicidal ideations as compared to prior quarters. For our fatality reporting, there have been 56 deaths reported in community-based residential settings for fiscal year 24. This number is slightly higher than prior yearly averages. But I would like to clarify that 12 of those residents had a known advanced cancer diagnosis or some other terminal illness. 11 died from acute respiratory illnesses or pneumonia, and 8 died from known cardiac events. I think it's also important, I say frequently, that we have a population within our residential settings that is aging in place. And as people age, they are going to be affected by various viruses and illnesses. We had 8 of our deaths occur for residents who were between the ages of 30 and 50. 20 of the residents were between the ages of 51 and 65. 18 of those residents were between 66 and 75, and 10 were over the age of 75. One person lived within the provider community until 92 years of age. So we commend our provider community for supporting people in place and increasing the supports necessary to do so. I would also like to share with you some information on training. Frequently, we talk about training for our providers related to abuse, neglect, and exploitation and how important that is. As general information, DDSN is pleased to work with Inelectability to develop a new online training course related to abuse, neglect, and exploitation prevention and reporting allegations of A&E. This new training will include periodic knowledge checks or competency-based evaluation so that we can make sure that the staff who are participating in the training understand that they're able to, process that information and that they know what the rules and the regulations are. The training is expected to be available later this summer, so we're working very closely with Inelectability and look forward to that being available. Inelectability has also made some free training available to our providers for what we call the Fatal 5. And we see a lot of critical incidents that are related to aspiration, dehydration, dysphagia, bowel obstruction, seizures, and sepsis. They make up the Fatal 5. We really appreciate Inelectability making this training available to our providers and hope that they will use it. We are certainly making recommendations as we receive the reports through our incident management system. DDSN has also partnered with the Council on Quality and Leadership, otherwise known as CQL, to offer 9 free webinars that focus on person-centered training, personal outcome measures, promoting informed choices, addressing current workforce issues, and developing effective human rights committees. The 9 free webinars will take place 1 per month over the next several months. So this is a great opportunity for provider training as well. We have shared this information in multiple forums and continue to take advantage of any opportunity to encourage our providers to participate. Do you guys have any questions? All right.
Commissioner Thomas?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I wanted to take a moment to formally introduce myself. I am Jamie Hayward, the Director of Risk Management. I've been with the agency since June of last year. The quarterly incident management report for the regional centers that I'm sharing is data that's collected for the fiscal year of 2023 up until currently as of December 31st of 2023. So in year 2023 compared to year 2022, the regional centers decreased individual A&E allegations by 32% from a total of 253 A&E allegations to 171 A&E allegations. There have been 138 A&E allegations or incident reports, and as we know, one report may involve multiple allegations. We've had 6 arrests and 42 standard of care findings. In critical incidents, the regional centers increased by 7%. There were 160 critical incidents in 2022, and this far in 2023, the regional centers have 171 critical incidents and 21 reported deaths. So we like to contribute the numbers for going down in A&Es based off of the proactive training that we're doing to the regional centers. We're going out and providing A&E trainings to the regional centers. So we like to say that is why there's a reduction in the A&Es that's being reported. Any questions for me?
Commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a nice job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Internal audit?
I have a few updates from the Internal Audit Division for you. So I'll start with our 2023 audit plan, which was amended to include a Medicaid resource limit review. So this audit is large in scope. It's going to carry forward into our 2024 audit plan. So we are working with 52 residential habilitation providers to review individuals' financial records to determine whether resources have been managed in a manner that would not jeopardize Medicaid eligibility. So we're kind of treating these like 52 mini audits. They're at different stages in the audit process, but with some of those providers, we have begun sharing the results of our review, and we're in the process of drafting final engagement communications in the form of memos to be shared with their boards and leadership teams. At the conclusion of the audit, or when we complete all 52 reviews, we will issue an audit report to the commission and to the DDSN leadership team summarizing the results of those reviews. Our audit plan also allocates hours to follow up on outstanding corrective action plans. So we've recently completed the fieldwork portion of follow-up procedures with Chester, Lancaster, Cherokee, and Marlborough County DSM boards. We'll be issuing follow-up memos to those boards, and the March internal audit observation tracking report will reflect the results of these follow-up procedures. We're also working on our 2024 audit plan. So the commissioners should have received an email from me in late December with the 2024 audit planning questionnaire attached. So our internal audit standards require consideration of the commission's input. So I just wanted to take this as an opportunity to remind those who have not returned the survey to please provide your feedback. And I've spoken with a couple of you, and I will be reaching out with you individually to follow up on responses. And lastly, internal audit has been working with agency leadership to build a tracking report of recommendations from Part 2 of the Legislative Audit Council's report that was issued in October of 23. So internal audit will follow up with process owners to determine progress towards implementation of promised initiatives that were outlined in the agency's response to the LAC's report. As this project progresses, we can provide the tracking report to you with our quarterly internal audit observation tracking report, or we can brief you on the status during our regular internal audit update. Any questions for me?
Those of us that haven't, reach out to us and make sure that we take care of that matter.
I will do it.
Tomorrow will be just as good a day as any.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning, legislative.
Legislative, here with the legislative update. Let me start with the main action that's happened in the legislature. There are two fairly large pieces of legislation that grew out of Act 60 from last year in the legislature. Act 60 was the bill or the act that split the DHEC into two separate agencies. One, the Department of Public Health, and one, the Department of Environmental Services. Also in Act 60, one of the other things that they ordered in Act 60 was for the Department of Admin to procure a study of all of the state health agencies and for them to make recommendations for this year to the General Assembly for action. The Department of Admin hired BCG, Boston Consulting Group, and they have made two reports so far to the legislature. This in January, they made one kind of overarching report and then one with some legislative specifics and recommendations that they could put into legislation. That legislation became Senate Bill 915 and House Bill 4927. And the action has been taken fairly quickly on that legislation by the appropriate committees. Senate Bill 915 has been voted on and reported out of the Medical Affairs Committee to the Senate floor. It is currently, yesterday was set for special order, which means it goes to a higher, it takes a higher place on the calendar in the Senate and it has to be debated before anything else can be debated on the floor. So that has happened. It may happen, they may debate it today or they may start on Tuesday debating it. We don't know, but that's the status right now. We're waiting on the debate to start in the Senate on that. Same thing in the House. It's been passed out of the Judiciary Committee earlier this week, and then it is now on the House calendar for this morning. Once they get through their introductions and everything, they will get the calendar and they will take it up this morning on that bill. So that's the status of those bills. What those bills do pertaining to DDSN, it creates an office of Executive Office of Health Policy, basically a health secretary, which would be one cabinet agency that would bring the requisite recommended departments, the Department of Public Health, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Mental Health and DAODAS. They would actually merge those two departments, and then DDSN and the Department of Aging would be all under the Executive Office of Health Policy. So those agency directors would report directly to the health secretary, and basically that's how that would work. That would be the governance through the governor's cabinet on that. It does a few other administrative things. The amendments to it, the enabling amendment to it, does a few other things, adds a few contractual things to our statutes, and it also it looks like it transfers BabyNet. Basically, all of early intervention would be under the DDSN purview, as opposed to being split up as it currently is between HHS and DDSN. So those are the big changes that appear to have that have been basically recommended by the committees, subject to amendments on the floor. But during the floor debate, we'll see what the amendments do. But that debate should happen to begin today on those bills.
Thank you very, very much. This commission,
Questions?
this commission have no comments.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, I do.
Next item.
I have comments regarding this matter.
Next item on the agenda.
Let the record reflect the chairman is refusing to allow a commissioner to speak.
Not
And I
doing
want
that.
that in the minutes right now, because I have questions for him that are valid questions
Let it go in
that
the
I would
minutes.
like to be asked.
Call the order, let it go into the minutes. what he has requested. We will not have any comments on Senate Bill 915, nor House Bill 4927.
Why not?
Next item.
Can you tell me why we won't have any comments on that?
Next item.
Next
Next
item,
item on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, the next item, our regulations for our second set of regulations, we're up, as you know, we're in a 2-year period of updating our regulations. The staff has worked very diligently on these regulations, getting them ready to go to the appropriate committees. I have had really good meetings with the staff of both the House Regulations Committee and the Senate Medical Committee, briefing them on the regulations. They're comfortable. We're just looking to schedule time for subcommittee hearings should happen in the next 2 weeks. We should at least have hearings scheduled on our regulations, and we expect there to be not many questions going on based on the work that's been done so far on that. The next item is budget. The budget is moving through the House currently right now. We've had our budget presentation in the House to the budget subcommittee, the health subcommittee of Ways and Means. Ways and Means is meeting currently right now this week, finalizing what they are going to do, what they're going to make recommendations for the budget. They will enter their final deliberations in the next 2 weeks and get it to the by the first week in March, right around then to the floor of the House for debate, and then we'll go to the Senate. The Senate side has started their process already, and we have a budget subcommittee meeting on Tuesday scheduled for that. So everything is proceeding along according to schedule on that. And I'm open for any questions. That's my presentation.
Thank you very, very much. Next item on the
According to, wait, please.
You're out of order.
I'm not out of order. I am speaking about the Freedom of Information Act. I'm not out of order.
Out of order.
I'm not out of order. David, would you help me out here, please? Am I out of order? I'm asking for a clarification on 30-4-90 of the Freedom of Information, the Freedom of Information Act. So am I out of order by asking for that? I'm asking, according to 30-4-90, that my questions, which are on this page, would be entered into the minutes, and that those minutes would reflect the questions that I had, and I would ask at the next meeting, if we have one, that they would be answered at that meeting. And
you can
and 30-4-90 requires you to allow me to do that. According to the Freedom of Information Act, I can put anything in the minutes I want to put, and I intend to do that.
You can go ahead and enter them into the minutes by submitting them to the clerk, and we will enter everything that you want into the minutes.
That's right. Thank you very much.
All right. Next item on the agenda, new buildings and agency move.
That's me.
State Director.
Okay, so in addition to restructuring, it looks like DDSM will also be moving. I, along with several other directors, met with the Department of Administration in January of this year. I believe it was January. All of my months are blurring together at this point. The proposal is to put the healthcare agencies on the same campus. That campus has been identified and located. It's a campus in West Columbia. It's actually the old Dominion building. I, along with several other members of the executive staff, had the pleasure of touring the building in December of 2023. It is a beautiful campus. Everything's contingent on if this will be funded by the General Assembly during this session. If it is funded, it has been proposed that agencies will start moving in the fall of 2024, and we will move in phases. It hasn't been determined who will move first, but what they are proposing to do is to run the building simultaneously with the hope that all the agencies will be moved by the end of July, well, I guess June 30th of 2025. So we are, in addition to monitoring the restructuring bill, we're also heavily monitoring to see if that move will be funded by the General Assembly. And if it is funded, then agencies will start moving in the fall of 2024.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Director's update.
What is the building, what is it currently? Is it a mall? What is it currently?
No, it was Dominion's headquarters. Dominion Energy.
Dominion,
It was
okay.
their corporate headquarters.
Okay.
Ms. Quincy.
Quincy. 24 year-to-date spending
Yes.
plan budget and actual expenditures.
Yeah, I just wanted to
No.
give you guys an update where we are throughout the year on what we spent versus what our budget is or spending plan. So you'll see.
Tab 8.
You'll see tab 8, the spending plan amount of $327 million. Through January, the agency spent approximately $197 million in agency cash, which puts the agency over the commission-approved spending plan levels by approximately 1.7%. So we'll continue to monitor it, hopefully, adjust. Things happen, there's more payrolls in a quarter than not. So, sometimes they fluctuate depending on when the paydays are. So hopefully we'll, by the end of the year, we'll right that ship and we'll be a little bit under or right at. So, and if we're over, I'll definitely give everybody an idea why we're over. I'll tell you what was higher than what we expected. So that's it.
Questions? Commissioners? Now, director's update.
I did want to mention
Go ahead.
that we have when is the budget presentation for the Senate, Quincy?
Next Tuesday. Next Tuesday for Senate Finance.
February 20th.
Okay.
All right, so I have a few updates. So I'd first like to start with some agency updates, starting with projects going on in our regional centers. When we last spoke, we had just received phase 1 approval for a $12.6 million project for improvements across our regional centers. We are now in the design and development phase of that project. It includes more than $2 million at Coastal to improve HVAC units, conduct bathroom renovations and other upgrades, as well as more than $3 million for millets for dorms, bathrooms, and roof renovations. PD will see about $3 million in renovations, with the bulk of it going towards renovations to the pool, gym, and therapy facilities. Lastly, Whitten will also see about $3 million in facility renovations. Elsewhere among our employment services and day program, our adult supports director, Becky Peters, recently joined the South Carolina chapter of the Special Olympics for a conference where she spoke about the eligibility services we offer. And her transitions team and case managers have been hard at work between August 1st and February 2nd. Case managers and her 3 transition coordinators have submitted nearly 200 vocational rehab referrals. Additionally, autism director Stephanie Turner has continued to provide trainings to law enforcement and gave presentations recently to the Academy of Pediatrics and to more than 100 special education directors, among others. Also, our autism division is collaborating with the USC program on a resource fair in April that will take place in April, titled Autism Connect. The public is invited, and we have various state agencies and organizations signed up as sponsors. Exhibitors will also have info tables, and presenters will be able to speak to those present about what their group does for autism and their families. I don't have it noted here, I just thought of it. Chairman Miller and Commissioner Woodhead will be speaking at Disability Advocacy Day on March, remind me. 5th. Yeah. DDSM will also have a table at that, but I thought it was important to note that you guys will be doing that presentation on March the 5th. I'd also like to mention our early intervention program. Director Joyce Kimmery conducted multiple interviews with the media last month in observance of Birth Defects Awareness Month. She shared valuable information about the resources we have for our parents who need services for their children. On our executive staff, Quincy Swigert has been working with our communication team on that, what we're referring to as a DSN provider report. The report will include details about eligibility, population services, and finances. Once the report is complete, it will be made available on our website, and physical copies will be made available upon request. Lastly, I'd like to highlight some of the employees from two of our regional centers, Coastal and Midlands. Midlands is like to recognize Willie Duncan, who's worked there for more than 17 years. Willie started in residential and is currently a workforce specialist too, managing the workshop, car wash, and enclave. His Midlands family says he's the sunshine to everyone's day and greets everyone's smiles and positive words. He's a true advocate and a great role model for consumers and staff. Coastal Spotlight this month, unfortunately, is in loving memory of Anna Sampson. Anna Sampson was a longtime employee at Coastal who recently passed away on January 27th. Anna was part of the Coastal family for more than 37 years and served as a physical therapy aide, DSP, and a campus seamstress. Her work on campus included curtains for the units, clothing protectors, and screen covers. Anna was loved by staff and residents and will be truly missed. And I want to send a sincere thing out to Anna's family and her Coastal family. That's all of my updates, and I'll yield to any questions from any of the commissioners.
Okay. Hats off to those employees that are doing an excellent job. That's what this commission is about. And it starts at the top.
I'm sorry. I actually do have I always go off the script, but I want to publicly acknowledge my executive staff. They have been working hard, very hard. This led to some days and months of exhaustion, and I just wanted to publicly acknowledge my appreciation for them. It's not going unnoticed. I know they're tired. I'm tired, but we're here. We're here for the right reasons, so we'll continue the hard work.
Will the executive staff please stand? Where are you?
Some of them are here.
Some of them. Stand. Let's stand and give them a hand. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work and your dedication, because it's not easy. This is not an easy task, but we have the right people in the right place, and that's what's important. Thanks to you, State Director, for doing a marvelous job. All right. Next item on the agenda is executive session to discuss contractual matter, Lutheran Services, Carolina. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Ayes have it, so. To regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Moved and second, all in favor? Ayes have it. Went into executive session, no motions made, no votes taken. Is there any other business of this commission for today?
Ms. Dalton, would you please bring before the commission your recommendation?
Based on the evidence of improvement over the past 14 months, staff support lifting the admission freeze for Lutheran Services Carolinas.
Any questions? Motions?
You want to clarify which we're lifting, or are you saying all of their restrictions?
Lutheran Services Carolinas currently has a contract for residential habilitation. They currently operate 24 CTH1s.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. What is it? Did you call on me?
Did you have any comments, recommendation, or motion?
I have a motion, if no one else is going to make it, that we accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Aye.
Okay, I need a motion. Let's see, next action. We're good there, we're good there. Next regular meeting is scheduled for March 21st, 2024 at 10 a.m. at this location. I need a motion. If we have no other business to discuss, to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
So ordered. Thank you very, very much.